Today we wrapped our house in Tyvek. We put our grounding strip on. Um, we had put both of our windows in. We started our sliding door. We figured out where our junction box is going to go, and we put blocking in for our shower fan.
We did some relearning about installing windows, checking the reveal as you're installing it, checking the level.
I wish I would have known where the junction box goes, because then we would have been able to finish, and I would have been able to put that blocking in. Our first window, we forgot to check the reveal.
Oh yeah.
So we went back and we had to fix it.
Do the Tyvek together. Obviously, maybe that's obvious, but have one person hold it and stretch it, and the other person's tacking as you go.
Yeah, just split up the work.
So today we're gonna be using a hammer tacker and a knife to install our Tyvek on the outside of our house. We're gonna do our ground strap. You're gonna need a chalk line to pull a chalk line for your grounding strap, hammer for nailing it in. For installing your windows, you're gonna need shims, a pry bar, brad nailer for putting a couple brad nails in these shims while you're installing, a drill or a impact for your screws, a level, make sure it's level, and then oscillator to finish it off and cut the shims off once you're done. Yeah, so this morning we started out by fixing our shower valve. We had installed the hot on the wrong side. So it happens when you rush. So always make sure you're thinking things through and not going too fast. So we just ended up cutting it, switching the sides. It worked out fine. It was a pretty simple fix. Yeah, you always have your hot on the left, cold on the right.
So right now, we have our holes drilled up for our vents, and this is our vent for our dryer. So it's gonna stick up 6 inches above our roof sheathing, our first roof sheathing, so it'll barely poke up above our pitched roof. So we're gonna stick it up there. It'll stick about 6 inches out, and it's gonna be hidden in this wall. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 1/2-inch pieces of plywood on this stud and these two to build our wall out, so we won't have to build a soffit wall to hide this. So this is just gonna hang right here. It'll be drywalled, and it'll give something, the dryer something to clamp onto. All it is 290s, 390s, and a piece of 4-inch pipe. And you're gonna cut that to length. It'll be a little different in every house, depending on where your hole is, how far you drilled your hole out. But other than that, it's fairly simple. We're gonna go ahead and throw our duct tape on all of our joints. We have a little bit right here on our joints that swivel, only because they were falling out. So these, you don't need to tape these ridges. The only reason we did is we had one fall out. So the only thing you need to do is tape where your pipe meets your angles. So here and here. Yeah, so this is 290s connected and one sticking out. Well, right now we're adding strips of 1/2-inch plywood to our interior wall. We're gonna add them to both this trimmer and king stud, this stud, and our blocking that we use to build out our washer box. So we're gonna need to unscrew this, take it out, throw a piece, there's one. Here, let me see. We're gonna throw a piece of 1/2-inch plywood on the sides. So we'll have one here, and one right here. So we're gonna have to screw this out, nail it in, then we'll come back and screw it over that. But we're doing this so we won't have to build a wall to cover our ducts, because if you put our vent where it's supposed to go right here, you'll see that it'll stick out of the wall a little bit. Just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is build our wall out, so with our drywall it'll hide this vent and we won't have to build another wall. Right now I'm unscrewing our washer box off of our studs. We need to take these off so we can put our padding on. with our 1/2 inch OSB.
So we're putting up our Tyvek right now. The way we're doing it is we're tacking one side. Isaiah's going to the other end of the wall, pulling it tight, and then I'm stapling it as we go along. We're running it wild on the top. And when we get our 2x6 perimeter in for our roof, we're gonna fold it over the top and finish it at that point.
Well, for me, when I hook, I don't just pull it to one side. I like to hook a corner and use that corner as leverage. Now I can pull against it. And then, like if there's wrinkles up top, I'll push the top out. If it's at the bottom, I'll push the bottom out. But once you have what you want, I push the top out kind of, and almost, I push the bottom out, and I'll control the top back and forth to see how tight you want it to be. And then once there's no wrinkles, then you can go ahead and your partner can staple it off. And once you get to the end like this, you just take your knife and cut it. So I'm gonna start in the middle and just poke a hole through. Now I'm gonna come down to one corner. The other corner. Now I'm gonna start in the top corner, poke through, come down to the center. The other corner, poke it, come down to the center. Now I'm gonna fold this over, pull it tight, and start throwing staples in.
You're not wasting pieces.
No. And this also helps the weatherproofing of the house by throwing staples in here. And if you have them rising up a little bit, just go ahead and tap them down. It's real easy because where our windows are going, we're going to put a waterproof flash in here underneath our windows, and our staples can't be sticking up through that. And once you tack it down, just go ahead and take your knife, pull it tight, and run it across. And then you're going to do the same thing for all the sides.
So we're almost done with running our duct for our dryer. It's going through the ceiling, everything's taped up. The last thing we're gonna do is secure it with a metal strap with plumber's tape. So we've just put our grounding strip in. We're working on nailing it. Isaiah snapped a line 2 inches above the glue lamb. And we're just going around and nailing every 16 to 18 inches to make sure it's secure. And remember that there's no grounding strap that goes on the end of the house that gets connected. Flashing. So I cut this so that we've got a couple inches on each side. I made sure that there's no sawdust or anything on the windowsill prior to doing this, because that'll make it so it doesn't really stick. And I'm just gonna stick this on here. Cut a 45. And lay it down.
So right now we're getting ready to put in our 4x4 window. We have our 2x2 bathroom window up already. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to shim up our bottom sill to make sure that there's an even distance from our bottom sill, our header, and our trimmer studs. So Jasper, what he did is he put shims in on each side. We threw our 4-foot level on, and we're shimming up each side to make sure that our window is going to lay level. Once we get our shims on, he took a brad nailer, and we're going to put a few brad nails in the shim where our window's gonna lay, because if you put them out here, you won't be able to cut them off. So this is gonna mock where our window's gonna be. We know that's level. Now we can go ahead and move it out here. Before we put our window on, we're gonna take our screen out. There we go.
Why do you need to take the screen out before?
Just because like we only have one of them, and things can fall and things can hit it. And it also helps. You can open a window and when we start mudding, you can open a window, put a fan, you can run your extension cords through it. But if you had a screen, you couldn't. So now we're gonna pick this up and slide it in.
How's that fit?
I don't think I'm on this. Now I'm on. Open. There, yeah. Open the window. Open the window so you open the window so you can talk to your partner. And I recommend lifting the window up with two people. It's not because it's heavy. It's just really awkward. Like it's super tall, so you can't really push up. But once it's in, Jasper's gonna check our gap on this side and this side. And it doesn't have to be perfectly even. It just has to be small enough that half-inch drywall can go ahead and cover it when we drywall our sills. So right now, we're checking to see if our window's square. And the way you do that, so Jasper's gonna close it to where you can barely see an opening. And if there's an even gap all the way up and down, you know the window's square. So we have a small gap there, no gap in the middle, and a gap at the top. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set up a ladder, and Jasper has a pry bar, and he's prying the window frame till we have an even gap. And once we have an even gap, I'm gonna go up there and throw a screw in, and then that'll secure our frame, and then we can go ahead and screw the rest off. And now we have an even gap at the top and bottom. So now we're just gonna work the middle of the frame back till we have an even gap all the way up and down. So I'm gonna hold my screw where it needs to be. Oh, or Jasper can do that. Here, just close it. I can go like this. There, that's good.
So we had them install the windows. Everything went smooth. It's all nice and neat. Nice lines on it. So we had them put the window in, and we got the flashing over it. They forgot to put their top piece on it. And you guys want to remember, you want to start from your bottom, do your sides, and then your top, because you want to keep the water riding on the outside of it. If you do it in reverse, the water can get back behind it. So it's always important to start from the bottom, the sides, and then the top. So we got the house wrapped. It's nice and clean. There's no wrinkles in it. There's no creases or anything. They did a really nice job this time. The grounding strap, what I had them do is mark up 2 inches and then snap a line, and that helped keep their grounding strap nice and neat. You only need to nail about every 16, 18 inches off. One nail, at those measurements, just to keep it. And they kept it nice and tight. There's no bubble in it. It's not twisting or anything. They did their corners nice and neat. So it looks pretty good. I really like it. Nice job. And let's see, what else did they do? So they went ahead and came and poked all the wires out, so nothing's going to get buried or missing. All of that, the job looks pretty nice. It's nice and clean, nice and flat. It's stapled off. Like I said, there's no real big wrinkles. I'm impressed with it.